Welcome to DIY IT for small businesses. Today our topic is IT budgeting, and I have a host of new people, some old, one new I should say. We actually brought a female in this time to take over the male-dominated industry we have.
Right, Duane. That was just awesome.
I didn't mean it like that.
I know.
So since you're talking, you might as well introduce yourself. Go ahead.
I'm Duane Taylor, a vCIO.
I am Nate Jewett, also vCIO.
Megan Sullins, Chief Strategy Officer.
Wow, big time here. So, and I'm Jason All, your hostess with the mostess, Vice President MIS Solutions. So thanks for coming. So today we want to talk about budgeting and IT and how these guys, and even Megan, how with her department and everything that's rolled out with the vCIO office, how you guys work with our partners to make sure that they're budgeting, planning, budget, spending, how they spend down their money, whatever they're doing, however you frame it, maybe what tools you guys are using. So let's kind of start with just budgets in general. When you guys walk into most small businesses, do they have budgets for IT at all?
Typically not.
No.
It's usually handled internally and poorly.
Yeah.
And then that just causes problems down the road when you don't have a roadmap to, predict what you need to spend.
Yeah. I could imagine that when you're first walking into a small business and you're sitting down with them, you start talking about spending money on IT. I can imagine the panic coming right off the top, right? And so you guys sitting down and getting their finances, or not even finances, but getting their expenses, right? I'm sure you guys are gathering up internet bills, phone bills, trying to figure out ways you can save. And then what type of things do you start looking at from there? Kind of give me a framework of what you guys start doing. Obviously, you're pulling in bills. You might be doing this. You start looking at equipment needs.
You usually just start with, equipment, getting the inventory straight, and figuring out, what their buy cycle is. You try to figure out what they do and what they're accustomed to doing. And then you kind of try to wean them off of that if it's a bad idea, and you lead them with any software that you're purchasing, down to your licensing, your Adobe, your Bluebeam, and all those things, and we can put together a complete budget of your total IT spend if they will share the information.
Yeah.
So
I think
it gives them a good overview. It gives them a good overview because most small businesses don't know. They're just getting, your licensing is due for the next year now, and it's $5,000, or they're always getting caught with invoices that are big. And if you can show them that, and over a 2-year period, this is what your IT spend is going to be, and this is what your life cycle is going to look like, it's a little bit easier for them to, when you go to them and say, hey, we need to spend this for the licensing that's coming up, just so you're aware, it's been in your budget, and it's just easier for them from a business perspective to
What were you going to say, Megan? I think you had some good input.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just looking at it from a holistic standpoint, if you're really trying to capture every piece that you're helping them budget, you basically start with, the internet. That's pretty much the first thing. So you have, just to kind of expand on each category of it.
Yeah.
Internet, obviously, there's certain providers that you have to choose from. There's not too many of them. So you're helping with vendor management from that standpoint. So whether they have Spectrum or Altafiber or any of that, and then helping them choose the correct type of internet as well. And anything from the DMARC as you call it.
Right.
So
it's and we'll start with, I need a copy of your internet bill and the contract.
Right.
Because if you're under contract for 3 years and it's with an old speed and you're paying 3 times what you can get it for now, then we'll remove the evergreen and auto renewals and all that stuff. You're paying
for a speed that your firewall cannot support.
Right.
I mean, we've walked into places and seen gigabit internet connections, and the firewall will do 250 megs.
Right.
And why are you paying for that? So,
Right.
Obviously there's savings there.
There's also a learning thing that they have to go through too, because sometimes they see, this is a good number, but they don't know that because they're not in the technical aspect of things, which is where we come in.
Right.
Too.
Yeah. Yeah, so you got, you're coming in from the DMARC, right?
And then you think
Start
about
moving forward, yeah.
Yeah, then you think about the network as a whole as well. So as it relates to hardware and everything else, software that they're using as well. So if we talk about firewalls, for instance, obviously there's a license that comes with that as well. So you have to keep up on the licenses and things like that too. And then obviously access points need licenses as well. I guess it depends on what product you're using, but the products that we use, you definitely need a license for it.
And one of the really nice pieces about the software that we use, it pulls all this information together, and it pulls it from the manufacturers and puts it together for us. And then we can go in and put in the price for, okay, this partner doesn't want to buy computers but every 6 years. We like to do them every 3 or 4, so then we can tailor their budget to what their buying habits are, and then try to guide them in the right way. And it pulls it all together, and all this builds into the budget. So you have your asset list, which has your warranty renewal cost, your license renewal cost, your replacement cost, the end of life dates, date it was purchased, when the warranty's out. And we'll even look at stuff on like hardware and say, the warranty's up on this, but it's $1,000 laptop. I don't think it's a good idea to spend $300 on a 3-year-old $1,000 laptop. We can take our chances. We'll get one in a couple of years, or we can just renew it now. If it's a $5,000 laptop, I'm saying we need to. My recommendation is we need to keep the warranty on it, because it's not $1,000, just a regular laptop. So all those things come into play, and it just really helps them with a picture of a view that they've never had before.
Oh yeah, I can imagine most business owners, all of a sudden they see this number and they're like, "Wow, I never realized I was spending, $25,000 a year on my IT.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's and now I understand that. That's cool. I can now start like building that budget." And obviously we need computers, which usually is the biggest spend, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now these business owners have the idea, like you guys are coming to them going, "Well, you guys have 25 computers. How do we rotate this equipment out?
Right.
Do we want to do it all at once?"
Right.
And when you guys are doing that, obviously you can do 10 this year, 10 next year, 10 the year after that, or whatever. Are you guys also looking at creative ways to finance for them,
right,
or help them with their spends?
Right. So one of the questions that when we're doing our assessments in our software is, does all the equipment expire on the same day? Because that's a huge capital spend.
Oh, yeah.
So then we'll work with our partners, and I'll say, look, you're going to have to buy 60 laptops again at the same time. So do we want to do that, or do we want to start phasing them in 2 a month all the way across the board, or do we want to look at leasing, dollar buyout? How do we reduce the capital expense as much as possible, or spread it out? And that's people are interested in that, because they don't want to just be told, "Well, I got to spend $75,000 next month on 60 new laptops," or whatever, So
I can imagine licensing too. I mean, you brought that up, software licensing from, like we look at Office 365 these days. It's just this ongoing monthly, which is cool because it does help you budget. So these costs, all of a sudden you're not, "Oh, we need to get the new version of Microsoft Office, like Word, Excel, PowerPoint version.
Right.
We have to spend $300 a person." This is now integrated into our subscription for our email and all these other services. That's cool, because I think that helps a lot of small businesses start that budgeting process. But licensing, I think it gets forgotten a lot of times.
It does, and we build that in too. We look at, is this a partner that doesn't have a lot of turnover, that we can reduce costs and save them money with doing the annual versus going month to month and paying that extra expense of, I've saved several people, $300 a month just by saying you don't have a lot of turnover, and if you do, you're usually filling that position. So unless you're in a downsizing pattern, I wouldn't recommend it. But if you're we hope that all of our partners are growing, so we want to try to maximize their spend.
Yeah. So if you're a company that's sitting at 25 users, and that's pretty much where you're at, you're not fluctuating too much, it might drop down to 24 because somebody leaves.
It's $200
or
a month.
Yeah, you might as well
$200
go
a month.
annual.
Right.
The license, you're going to pay for it.
Right.
You can't take it away, but you're going to save so much in the long run.
Right.
So, and you're going to hire that position back, so you'll be back to 25 anyways.
And I usually say, I just saved you $200 a month. Now, can I buy something with that?
Now
Because we really need this over here.
That's great. I mean, I love that. Like, here's where we've saved stuff,
Right.
and this is where we can reinvest it back into your
Absolutely.
IT to,
Right.
we talked about one of the original episodes early on. I mean, this is episode 10, so it's amazing that we've come this far. But we talked about the car scenario, going to work and getting to work really quickly. But as the car aged, it's taking you longer and longer to get to work. And we see that. And so having that ability to budget and be like, wow, my PCs are 4 years old. My team can no longer they can't run the current version of Windows.
Right.
If it's Windows 10, Windows 11, whatever, and we need to be in that platform, especially when we look at, like, we were just talking about AI coming to Windows, right? And what, the new Copilot pieces with ChatGPT built into the operating system. I mean, it's amazing. You're all of a sudden having this AI assistant with you at the desktop level helping you.
Right.
Well, I want a PC that can run that for sure.
Right.
And if that's going to help all of my employees, I want them on that platform too.
Right.
So yeah, definitely having that rotation, getting them moving forward, keeping their equipment current makes a big difference on performance.
And we say all the time, if we're struggling with someone, I say, you spend more on a Starbucks cup of coffee a day than you do on a computer for your
Correct.
employee.
Yep.
A computer for your employees over its lifetime is maybe $31, $32 a month.
Right. It's $1 a day.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And here you are. I mean, you're going to Starbucks every day for your, non-fat latte, and it's $5.
Right.
Plus tip, because now when you go to those places, as they're hanging out the window and you're going through a drive-through and they're like, "Can you answer this question?" And you're like, "Okay." Love it.
No.
Yeah. No. I don't tip the guy at McDonald's either, so sorry.
But it's a lot of partners are very receptive to the budgets.
Yeah.
And there's no surprises. Once we meet with them and we get things solidified and we get it all penciled in, then I can say, hey, I may meet with you every quarter, but in between then I've got a $2,000 spend that's been in your budget that we've reviewed 5 times. You've known about this for a couple of years, so it might be a shocker to you right now, but it's always been there for us, so we know.
Well, hopefully it's not a shocker, because over the time period of building the rapport with you guys and
Right.
sitting down as you guys are doing your reviews, I am assuming that every review involves reviewing the budget,
Mm-hmm.
reviewing what expenses might come up. So all of a sudden this, $10,000 server buy that we've been planning for 3 years shouldn't be a shock. You have it in the budget.
Right.
And that's what makes you guys so valuable. Having that person sit down with you as a small business owner, lots of times you just get into running the business and you're forgetting about these expenses, and all of a sudden being able to grab that, get your arms around it, is just going to make you more successful.
It's just it's a proactive approach.
Yeah.
Great word. I always joke that years ago when I would have to call someone, it was because everything was reactive and no one wanted to talk to me because it cost a lot of money.
Right.
And they would I don't want to talk to him. It's going to cost me $25,000. Well, now I'm like, you've known about the $25,000 for months or years.
Yeah.
So, but they're very receptive to it. And that knowledge sharing with them, because like you said, they get involved in, that's what they do, is their business. That's what they do. And we take that IT focus away from them so that they can focus on what they want to do, generate money, be successful, and we handle the rest.
We're spending IT dollars to make you more successful as a business, to make you more secure, to help you get to that next benchmark of success. Mm-hmm. And I love that budgeting plays such a huge role into that. I mean, even for us as a business, for a long time, we didn't have budgeting. And it's funny now is we're using you guys to build our budget for IT.
Right.
We were kind of willy-nilly like, oh, we need some new computers, we'll get them. But now is sitting down and having our own equipment, our own data, our own expense for software and licensing into your systems. We have at least an idea of what we need to do. Sometimes we follow it. Yeah, sometimes we jump the gun and order things because like we've been moving to the curve monitors because we like the look. One, it's a beautiful look in an office.
It is.
And I think the guys I know that we talked about when we went to dual monitors, people gained, up to 25%, 30%, more efficiency or a productivity increase because of having two monitors. All of a sudden you're looking at things side by side instead of trying to on a small device. Well, the curve, I think, takes it to the next level.
Right.
People get excited about it too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
It
and
looks
it's
great.
kind of like your employee feels important as well because they have.
Yeah.
But you ever sit down at somebody's desk and just has one regular monitor?
Oh.
I can't work there.
Oh,
I have to go somewhere else. I'm like, how do you work like this? I need to get you two monitors.
I struggle on my laptop when I'm
I
stuck
hate
like
working
that.
on a laptop.
Well, that's why I pull my iPad out and have it next to it because I can throw my screen over to it.
Right.
And all of a sudden I have dual monitors, which I love, so, but that is definitely, it's all of a sudden I feel very claustrophobic on a single monitor, which is interesting. And then, obviously with recent Apple announcement and their new glasses, I mean, you want to talk about taking monitors to a whole new level. Yeah.
That is so cool.
You're talking about, augmented reality with virtual reality built into the same device, which is really interesting. And to be able to sit there and throw up screens and watch how they were working and take phone calls and do presentations, I was actually amazed by that. I was just amazed at some of their presentation ability with just the regular products, but to step into this virtual reality, I can see, in 5 years from now, like really not even having cubicles in here and just having chairs and all these guys are just sitting there. You walk in and it's all these gentlemen just with these goggles on.
Have you guys seen that?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It was absolutely amazing.
I was on a watch party with like
I'd
four
love to
other
work
people
on
watching
somebody's
it.
budget for that.
Yeah, see, and then right now everyone start budgeting for that purchase. I mean,
I'd like to see how that's going to have impact on business in general too when it comes to buying devices and things. Like who can get away with not having an actual computer in front of them? Like it's just insane. I don't know.
It's another way of thinking.
Yeah.
But but when phones came out, we never thought that you would use your phone to actually, and you look at the younger generation out here from a phone standpoint, they do everything on their phones. Like I'm kind of limited to like banking and some general stuff, some general browsing. When I really want to do browsing, I get on my computer still.
Right.
But I talk to these guys and they're like, I don't use a computer. Everything's right here, and I'm amazed by that. And they do everything on it, and it's just a different. My daughter's that way. She's 16, and she's like, and like she will sit there and just be like talking to me. And she's typing.
We talked about this the other day too when we were talking about movies in one of our previous episodes, where the generational gap of you like going to a movie theater and watching it on a big screen, where I'm content sitting at my desk watching it in the corner while I'm playing a video game or laying in bed watching it sideways on my phone screen.
Yeah, but being immersive into those goggles, throwing up that screen and being practically in it and then blacking out everything.
That'd be cool.
That is, and having that virtual 3D sound is going to be absolutely amazing. I'm interested on the cost. Does
$3,500.
$3,500 a piece. Okay. So
start budgeting.
Well, if I think about my monitor and a MacBook Pro and the accessories I need, it's there.
Yeah.
It is one device. I could replace everything.
It's kind of a little scary if you think about it from an MSP standpoint.
Yeah. Can you help me with my headset?
Yeah.
I need you to shake your head twice to reboot.
Yeah.
What's the hard reboot? Slamming your head down because
You break the glass, shatter the glass in your face.
Yeah, talk about accidental coverage. It's an interesting product, but yeah, I mean, it goes right back into budgeting as we're looking at newer and newer technologies. Technology is the forefront of all these businesses. I mean, every business we have, nobody is sitting there with a piece of paper or writing out something, typing it up. They are sitting in front of a computer, fully immersed, minus
all
Megan,
day long.
But they're fully immersed in this system. And this, you go back to it, it's $31 a month. It's almost $1 a day for the average computer over 3 years or 4 years, depending on your cycles. But that's 8 hours a day. You use that whole device constantly.
I'll let people go. Some people want to run it until the wheels fall off of it, and I say, well, I think we need to have some hot spares at our office because equipment's harder to get. It's not here in 2 days anymore.
Yeah.
So there's different ways to budget, and there's different ways to prepare for those that want to run it till the wheels fall off. But then there's also, you have to have that conversation with your partners as well and say, you've got 100 employees. You've got, it takes 15 minutes for the computer to reboot.
Right.
And if everybody does that 3 times a week and you're paying them $20 an hour, how much does that cost you? Those are the things that they don't see.
Yep.
They don't see that savings. They say, what am I going to get with this new computer other than a faster computer? And I'm like, efficiency.
Right. Your employee is not waiting.
We took over one particular partner, and most of the employees would say that they would come in, turn on their computer, go make a pot of drip coffee, come back to their desk, log into their computer, go back to the kitchen, pour themselves a cup of coffee, come back, and then be able to launch Outlook.
Eek.
We're talking 9-10 minutes a day, everyone in the building.
Yeah.
And, with a little bit of budgeting, a little bit of foresight, and a little bit of persuasion, we were able to get them some better hardware.
You got them Keurigs.
You got them Keurigs.
We're so fast, they had to make coffee in 30 seconds.
Right.
I mean, so it's a win-win-win.
It's a win-win for everyone. So get a Keurig and a newer computer.
Yeah.
Core i7 and a Keurig, baby.
Yeah.
Duane and I have talked to so many people, especially prospects, before they even become partners, that just have no idea what an IT budget even should be or anything like that. When in all reality, technology is running their whole business.
Correct. Yep.
And they have this mentality of, I don't really want to spend in that area, but it's truly the most important piece of the whole business in my opinion.
It's not broken, so why do I need to fix it?
Yeah.
Well, it's not broken, but it's not getting very good gas mileage anymore.
Yeah. Your productivity is
right.
Well, and then we fall into that budget too, because they're now paying for our services, right? And you walk into these places and they're like, well, we don't really spend anything on IT, and then you find out they're calling somebody for break fix, 6-7 times a month, and it's $150 per call, and you're like, you're already spending that.
Yep.
And you can get us in there, you get that unlimited use, get that unlimited help desk from the 8 to 5. You then have a budgetable amount, and all of a sudden it's $1,000 a month for managed services, or plus then my subscriptions fall into that, and now I have an overall picture of what I'm truly spending, and my team is happier.
Yep.
Because now they're not like trying to call somebody hoping they can fix it or trying to schedule it. They just know they have a group that's there and available to them anytime.
You can improve morale pretty quickly.
Having a good IT partner.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, we've even walked into places and had them say, well, if you guys just answered the phone, it's already going to be an improvement, or if you just get back to us.
Right.
If you just say hello, they're like, wow.
Someone answered.
And got a response.
Wow. Right. So, but it's all part of it. It's just all part of the process. The service, the budgeting, the vCIO roles. It's really helped our partners grow and focus on what their forte is, what's in their wheelhouse.
And that's what I love about the vCIO role, being there. I mean, and that's just one piece of it that you guys do. But the budget is a massive piece, because it does then drive IT from there and how it's going to, move forward for that business. But you guys provide so much more services than just that. But obviously getting their spend and their costs under control is a great value add.
Yes.
Software is another big piece of that as well. Just software that they're using daily, like computer use, for instance. We were just talking about that recently.
Yeah.
That's one of their biggest expenses, and that's the other piece that you guys kind of deal with as well, is just making sure that you know what they're using, and if they want different options, they can kind of confide in you. You have recommendations on which way to go, and just kind of help them with that too. But that's a huge piece.
I'll say I don't know your industry,
right?
So you can find the products, and then I'll sit in on the meetings, and then I'll say, I don't like this, or this isn't really a hosted platform.
Correct.
This is just an off-prem.
Correct.
A product.
Because you got the salesperson coming in saying, this is our cloud solution, and we're looking at it and going, that's not cloud.
That's not what you want to do.
You have that in your basement running on a terminal server. That is not a cloud solution. Just because you painted a cloud in the background and took the photo.
That's one of those things too. As you get to know people, you can develop that relationship with them to say, let me be the conduit for all of your technology needs. You don't know what the answer is. I might not know it either, but we'll work together on it and find out and make sure we make the best decision.
We always try to find out what they're trying to accomplish, and then we'll guide them in the best way. And I say that all the time. Don't take it upon yourself. Let us help.
Right. Because you don't want them to spend $100,000 on an application that actually doesn't work correctly and doesn't fit into their environment at all. So having you guys be able to guide that, they might find a product that's the same price or cheaper that actually works correctly, right. And that saves them so much headache in the long run. So valuable advice.
I've done analysis to help them budget for what kind of phone system they want to buy, and I look at 3 vendors. We sell phone systems. I'm not biased. I'm honest about it. And I'm like, well, this is what's going to cost you this much over 5 years. This one's going to cost you this much for 5 years. And they all do the same thing.
Right.
So all of those things encompass what we do, and then we can build that recommendation roadmap as part of the budget. I think we need to start replacing switches, so we build a recommendation roadmap as well, like a project roadmap, and that's part of the budget too. So they'll say, okay, in 2024 in July, I want to be able to replace the switch over here. That's a recommendation roadmap, not a requirement, but it's just a recommendation to keep them flowing.
Yeah, because the switch could run 2 more years and be okay.
Correct.
But we want to get ahead of that. We don't want to have a failure, right?
Right.
So you're trying to get ahead of the failure so that the business stays up and is able to produce versus having outages and downtime. And that's another great piece of that budget, because you're able to look down the road. You're looking at warranties. You're looking at end of life of a product.
You're looking at continuity.
Yeah. I mean, because you can run switches for 20 years. You're not going to have any updates, any new versions of it, but it'll do general packet changes, right? But at some point in time, they're going to go to the next speed. I mean, we probably see it more I don't think switching's changed that much. We're still at gigabit overall. I'm not sure why we're not at 10 gig to the desktop. It seems like it's coming, especially with as much online material as we have. It's not quite there, but access points are a prime example of how quickly they change.
Absolutely.
To roll out an AP and run it for 10 years absolutely makes no sense.
No.
Because
the technology, the speed, the 2x2, the 4x4, the 8x8, all that stuff is different. You can have dual connections to it. I mean, it just...
And the alphabet of spectrums, A, B, C, D, E, F, Z, Y, N,
Right.
And then all of a sudden we're 2.3 to the 5 gigahertz ranges, and that all changes, especially for the type of buildings that people are in. So, yeah, and that stuff, I mean, we're already at, V7 now for access points that are coming out.
Right.
And they're very heavy. I'm starting to wonder if they're even going to hang on drop ceilings anymore. You're like lifting them like...
The ceiling's going to start caving in.
It starts bowing.
APs used to be very light. All of a sudden, they're super heavy. And you're like,
I can see all of your APs because your ceiling's bowed. I don't have to look very hard.
Oh, there they are.
Yeah.
It's very interesting that how much they have changed.
Yeah.
And what you get from that. And, the bubble is a little bit smaller, and so you need more sometimes because of that, but all of a sudden your throughput is incredible.
Right.
And you're getting almost desktop speeds from APs.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't run a hard line to my desk anymore.
I don't either.
I'm completely on the wireless. And I know it seems like almost everybody almost is, which is interesting when I start thinking about that. So
that's another piece of budgeting too, is the cabling portion of it.
Oh yeah.
And obviously we partner with people for that. But
yeah. I mean, just the budgeting is really important because it keeps the roadmap in line, and it keeps the technology we try to keep the technology that their users are using to the latest and greatest, and it just to keep everything going. It just really helps that holistic view of where am I going? Yeah, I have an access point over here. Just because is it any good, or is it? Are we getting what we need from it? And then the next thing you know, they're like, well, we have call quality issues. Our APs are 7 years old, and let's put in some new APs. We'll get the latest and greatest, and we'll be good for a few years. But you're never just going to set it and forget it and walk away.
Well, and I'd like to, this is a PSA to all people out there, is that access points do require cabling, right?
Yes.
I think a lot of times people think like, oh, you just put it in and it's like magic. But no, it has to run back somewhere, right? It's not like even cell towers. When you think about cellular services, those are, the tower has a cable coming down and then backhauls back.
Yeah.
So
it's not magic.
It's not magic.
No.
Starlink.
There's a wire somewhere.
Starlink is magic. I mean,
that's
magic. But actually, that's even laser communication between the satellites these days. So there is still some type of delivery mechanism. But our access points, they require cabling, and they require switches, and they require PoE, and so that ups the cost of everything. But that's the infrastructure people want today.
Right.
And that's okay. That's what we want to deliver. We want to walk around and have my 17 devices I have on me, my watch, my phone, my glasses, all connected. So I'm taking up 3 IP addresses just sitting here, right?
Well, it used to be everybody had 3 devices, maybe. A laptop and a tablet and a cell phone. Now they've got 4 or 5.
Yeah.
On them.
Correct.
So you have to account for that.
Yeah.
Probably be even more here soon, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I know Elon Musk just passed his neural chip, so I think that's what it is. It's a embedded neural chip. So,
So he is a robot.
So soon, yeah, he is a robot. Soon,
He's smarter than a robot.
You won't need any of your devices, right? You will just have a static IP dedicated to you.
Be pretty cool.
That's insane.
But I think that was more for like issues with paralyzation and like rebuilding, connectivity to the body and stuff like that. But I'm sure there's other applications for it.
That's very cool too.
It's interesting. I mean, obviously, it's the transition of the human race into cyborgs. So as we start chipping ourselves, we're almost there with our Apple Watches. So.
And Duane.
And me. I was the first one.
Depending on how many hips you've had replaced, too. You could be kind of partial cyborg, too. So, but yeah. Well, I mean, I think this has been a great conversation.
Yeah.
Let me add one more thing.
Oh.
So just thinking about it from a DIY perspective, if you have an internal person that is dealing with your IT, that is not an MSP, that is also another cost that you have, which is pretty significant. And this is the reason why, no offense to anyone, IT people that work on site and work for specific companies, but this is the reason why MSPs do come in handy if you're trying to save cost on technology in general, because if you have a very experienced IT person that is on site, you're probably spending at least $100,000.
Yeah.
So.
And you can obviously outsource to a managed service provider almost for half.
Right.
At times.
A fraction of the price.
And you don't have one person now. You have 25 people
that are dealing with different verticals.
Correct,
that are dealing with the latest technology. They're never stagnant.
They don't go on vacation.
They never take vacation.
They don't all use the restroom.
They are there 24/7 just for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's a good point.
But it is a great point because that is a huge cost savings.
Yeah, and not to mention benefits and everything else for them too.
I mean, we've seen employers over the years look at that, or especially when somebody's retiring from there that was doing their IT, or they're moving somewhere else, and they start looking like, well, to replace this person, and they start the interview process, and halfway through it, they're like, we can't find anybody, and then they start talking to someone like us, and all of a sudden they're like, that's what we needed.
Yeah.
And there's a savings in it.
Yep. Exactly.
And there's usually an improvement in delivery too, and other savings when you're partnering with someone like us. I mean, all of a sudden, if you're buying antivirus products, we come delivering that, and we come delivering MDR, the next generation of antivirus. We also come delivering a patching solution for you, monitoring solutions. It's stuff that you don't have to buy. So if you had those products and you were subscribed to them and something like Office 365 or something, you can reduce those costs.
Yep.
Well, you buy the whole cake from us. You don't buy the ingredients and then try to put it together yourself.
Yep. Yeah, so that's a great another, businesses can save a lot. You're spending $3,000 on antivirus. All of a sudden you partner with us, it's included in our cost.
Yep. Along with cybersecurity and everything else. So.
Yep. Yeah. That's awesome.
Good call.
The whole package.
Well, thank you guys again for coming.
Sure.
I appreciate this. This has been a fun discussion on budgeting. We had some AI side notes in there and some other things, but
squirreling
AI a little bit.
That's just the general, vibe of the podcast is to sometimes we get squirreling on technology. So, because we're always looking at the new stuff and love to see it coming out. So, Thank you guys for coming. Visit us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all your great social media, and also go out to MIS.tech /DIY, and you can download all the episodes and get bonus materials too. And Adam's not here today, so he does have his MySpace page. I
think he got another friend.
I think he has a friend.
He has another friend on
He has another
MySpace.
friend on MySpace. I think he's got a great playlist on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you want to check out Adam's MySpace page, feel free to. So thank you guys for coming.